Hello, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. This is Azrael Dame, and we are back on Baldur's Gate 3. Today, we'll be covering the Whispering Depths, a part of Gale's storyline, the Underground Forge related to our Masterwork weapon, and some Infernal Iron for Karlach, the Vision of the Absolute, plenty of hidden loot, and of course, how to cheese the Phase Spider Matriarch. Kicking things off at the ancient sigil located in Blighted Village, we will come down here to the hatch leading to the underground cellar. Inside the cellar, we can find plenty of supplies and alchemy ingredients. I came across a few healing potions in the randomized loot that you may or may not find, but do be sure to pick up things like the incense, which is worth 30 gold. They're quite helpful to sell to merchants. There is one wooden chest that should have a few potions inside of it as well. Here near the crates, we will find a lever and it will reveal a hidden wall behind the bookcase. Upon exploring further into the cavern, you will see numerous coffins laying on the floor. Now this is a quite hard encounter to deal with if you do just run in guns blazing. However, to cheese these skeletons, all we need to do is use Astarion to shoot down these fissured stalactites. Once all of those has been shot down, it will make clearing out the rest of the enemies quite easy. There is a dirt mound here that we can dig up for some loot, and now arriving at the mirror, we can use a few options to bypass the riddles. In my case, I use the following options in this order. Bypassing this mirror is an inspirational event for Astarion, and now I will point out that this particular casket, I did find a scroll of Quasit, but also a stone said to have slain the gods themselves, the fabled Nutbuster. Great for throwing builds, in which in episode 2, we did pick up a ring that enhances our throwing damage by 1d4. Inside of the apothecary on the main desk, we can find a scroll of Featherfall, which we can later use to continue the story if you do not have a spell of Featherfall, in which I'll remind you when the time comes. However, on the same table we will find 2 books that we can read, which will further our quest for searching the cellar. Now near the operation table, we will also find some journal entry notes, and there is a stuffed bear, which we can make a nature check on in the side dining area. The chest near the bear also contained numerous scrolls, such as the Thunderwave scroll, which we can use to cheese a boss if you do not want to have trouble with it. On the opposite room near the bookshelves, we will find a few more books to retrieve and a gilded chest, which contains the Bracers of Defense. They add a +2 armor to your character. As long as you are not wearing armor, they are a great item to help keep casters alive. Now arriving at the rusted gate itself, there is a few traps to disarm in the area, but after getting past them we will find the Necromancy of Thay, the whole reason we came down here in the first place. Now I will give you a few more details about this item once we get the key to activate it later, but for now, we can come down here where we will find a rusted key and a lever which will grant us passage to the exit, so we don't have to walk all the way around. There is quite a few alchemy ingredients in the chest to be picked up along the way, but now coming to the well in the Blighted Village, we can choose to inspect it and even drop a coin down the well. Classic. However, dropping down into the well, I will realize that I never picked up my also precious gold coin I tossed away. Hopefully it makes all my dreams come true. Now moving on, there is a studded shield and a great sword that can be looted right at the entrance. Now stop before we move any further. At this point in time, we will have 2 important items that we will have picked up. Number 1, we will have picked up the shaft of a broken spear, and number 2, we will have the head of a broken spear that we'd taken out of the owlbears previously. Now combining these 2 items, we will receive an uncommon item called the Vision of the Absolute. It is a spear with the added attribute called Absolute Night, which blinds targets that fail a dex saving throw. However, this spear will deal an additional 2 to 12 piercing damage to creatures with multiple eyes, which means it is perfect for killing spiders. Do take note, however, that this added damage does not apply when the weapon is thrown. Now, since my last time clearing out the Whispering Depths, there is a new enemy called the Ettercap, in addition to the phase spiders. Now, we can lure the first few enemies over to us by hitting this webbing to alert them to our position, and they will come to us to be picked off without alerting the rest of the enemies in the cave. You can also use a hit and run with Asterion, and his assassination, opting to leave the rest of your party outside, while Asterion picks them off one by one, and after killing one you will return to the camp, fleeing the battle after each successful kill. Inside the cave itself, in the area, we can find numerous backpacks full of things like gold or healing potions, but the most notable items will be here on this skeleton, where we will find the Spurred Band, which is a skill Frantic Urgency attached to it. At this location, to the leftmost side, we will find plenty of scrolls and a few books to be read that are related to one of Gale's inspirational events if you do read all three. As well as the chest, we will find a pair of boots called the Spider Step Boots, with the unique skill of being immune to being enwebbed. Heading back out, I will stop by one other apprentice backpack with the Apprentice Journal, which will update some quest progress. After blasting through all of these spiderwebs blocking this path, we are now free to loot a pair of boots that was hanging from the roof in the same spot, and from here I will sneak along the left edge and pick off a few more phase spiders, as well as get rid of a few spider stacks to help make the boss fight a bit easier. Now, fleeing from battle and sneaking off to the right side this time, I would like to get rid of as many spider sacks as possible, but I ended up getting noticed sooner than I would have liked. Starting off, the spider did do me a huge favor by jumping to this web, in which I used Astarion and Gale to blast the webs out from under it and make it take fall damage, which caused 43 damage to prone. While this was happening, me and Lae'zel killed all the small phase spiders by using the main hand attack, and you can also push them off the edge, so you can technically hopefully kill 2 per turn, with the mother spider jumping back to her feet and nearly wiping out my entire party. I used Gale to throw a potion and hit Lae'zel and myself at the same time, struggling to clear the spiders while simultaneously helping my team back up. The Spider Matriarch decided to use her legendary action once again to wake up another pile of spider eggs, which led to me being presented with yet another opportunity to disintegrate the spider webs and cause another round of fall damage to the boss, dealing 58 to prone. At this point, I knew I could not survive another round of onslaught, in which I chose to use Gale's ice knife to blast all the baby spiders across the way before they could start moving. Now, knowing even if this doesn't do damage to them, I could at least knock them down, which ended up saving this run. After trading damage picking up my team numerous times, I was finally able to finish off the Phase Spider Matriarch, completing Lae'zel's inspirational event without having to use explosives, and I did not use the Vision of the Absolute I had mentioned earlier. However, Gale managed to die throughout the encounter, which means furthering Gale's questline and learning that he is essentially an atomic nuke. After returning to camp and fetching his pouch, entering all the prompts he tells you to do in a specific order, and receiving the Scroll of True Resurrection, I was able to save him. Now, this can happen to you almost anywhere in your playthrough, and maybe it has already happened to you, but it is a pretty straightforward event in that it tells you everything you need to do, so I will not elaborate too much on it. Moving on to the spider's loot, we did get the Poisoner's Robe, in which I quickly decided to turn Gale into a Poisoner/Necromancer build. Down at the bottom that the Spider Matriarch was guarding, we will find a Dark Amethyst, and this will be the key to opening the Necromancer's Tome. Now, while we are here, I will explain that we can use Featherfall to drop down into the Underdark by jumping off the ledge. However, jumping down the hole is technically an inspirational event for Karlach, so I would suggest waiting to go get her before making the leap, if you do decide to go through this entrance. Now, on the way out of the spider cave, hugging the left side relative to leaving, we can come across another long span of webbing, and across it, this will bring us to a hidden cracked wall that we can break down with our maul, which will lead us into the Masterwork Forging area, coming in through the hidden entrance. Otherwise, you can just use the key we picked up and go through the front door. Inside, we can find plenty of crates to loot, and inside one wooden chest, we will find the High Cliffs blueprints, which will explain that we need to gather a material called Cellar bark, which if you have Gale in your party, he tells you it's in the Underdark. Jumping up onto this ledge, there is another chest we can loot, which will contain a piece of infernal iron that we can later give to Damon to help repair Karlach's infernal engine. There is also a letter and a steel forged sword, which is a short sword with finesse scaling, which I will give to Astarion to add more damage to his assassination attacks as the base damage is higher. This short sword being Dex, it will still count as a sneak attackable weapon. After taking the last of the loot and heading out, I chose to open the Necromancer's Tome, in which you will need to pass 3 checks, a 10, 15, and a 20. If you do fail, don't worry, we can open it in a later act, which we will have to wait for to activate it anyway. But after wrapping up all of the loot I had received, returning to base to sort it, and then deciding to sell all of the junk items back at the Emerald Grove, I decided to purchase any scrolls of resurrection and healing potions I could get my hands on as I was getting low. This is also where I purchased a set of chainmail plus 1 armor, which is going to be the highest rated armor we can get until the Grim Forge area. And because of this armor, it is also the reason why I chose to ignore Damien's plus 1 breastplate, which you can easily get by moving the crate like so, which causes Damien to pick up all of the items, and they are available for sale at that point in time. You will lose a bit of attitude with him, but such is the price we pay. Now we have so much gold it doesn't even matter. For me in this case, the armor ended up being useless. It is possible to steal the armor without being seen. However, this is going to be the easiest method to get it. From here, I will return back to the Blighted Village, where next episode we will go and explore further north and even engage with a Gnoll boss that has a Mind Flayer parasite and plenty of other storylines we will pick up now. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you all who have made it this far. If you have been enjoying these, do hit that subscribe button down below. And on that note, this has been Azrael Dame signing off.